Hello there, and welcome back to the booth here at the Magic World Championship Tour in Seattle, Washington. That is Ian Duke. I'm Marcio Carvalho, and it's about the perfect coverage day, I think. We get to watch a booster draft and then see how the rounds go. I'm pretty excited about it. We already had one yesterday, so the players are kind of accustomed to everything here at PAX. Let's take a look at our table to see who's sitting, who we're going to watch, who we're going to record. And I can tell you that if you look at the bottom part of your screen, Marcio Carvalho is going to be our feature drafter. He's sitting at 6-1 in the tournament, had an absolutely fantastic day yesterday. And we're going to watch him. He's got Mike Sigrist on his right and Reed Duke on his left. So passing to him is going to be Sigrist and Tiago Saporito, and he's going to be passing to Reed and Brian Bronduin. And also, if you look across the table directly across from Marcio, there's Seth Manfield. We're going to be recording his draft and go over that up at the top deck a little bit later. So let's ready. Are you ready, Ian?
Oh, I'm ready.
You look like you're ready. You
totally
just came
ready.
off a panel. You had a hamburger, and now it's time to watch a draft.
Yep, we got the energy of the audience from the panel here. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's head down to the feature match area for the draft here from the World Championship. Hello and welcome to coverage of the Magic World Championship. I'm Marcio Carvalho in the booth with Ian Duke, and it's time for our second booster draft of the tournament today. This is the main event here on Friday. We're in the Paramount Theater, and the players get to draft in a pretty nice little stage here as well. We're going to watch Marcio Carvalho. Marcio was our draft master coming off of the Pro Tour. That's how he earned his seat here at the World Championship, Ian, by performing the best specifically in booster draft at the Pro Tours over the course of the year. And now he's 6-1 and about to do yet another booster draft.
Yeah, he's had an incredible record all year.
All right, let's see what Marcio opens up here. He's got an Abundant Maw. There's a Somber Walled Stag he's pulled to the front. I did see an Enlightened Maniac near the back as well. It looks like a Conduit of Storms is his double face card there.
So far, that Somber Walled Stag is really standing out to me. I love that pick. It goes well in so many different decks. You know, it's a monocolored card. You can pivot a lot with it.
A little bit of a bummer for him. His rare, not a card that he wants. It's Harmless Offering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a harmless card, in limited indeed. And also of note here is if he picks the Stag, there's not really any other strong green cards in that pack. It looked pretty deep in red, and so I'm sure he'll be thinking about that going forward.
All right, so Marcio's going to pick up the Somber Walled Stag. I did see him use Somber Walled Stags to a stellar performance in limited at the Pro Tour. Whoa! Ulrich of the Crawlin' Horde just got passed to him after he took a green card. What did Sigrist take over that?
Yeah, that's really a great thing for Marcio here. You know, given
did you see him pause?
He's like, wow, I'm at the World Championship and this is happening to me. So yeah, fantastic card there, just great value. The only downside really is that it is a two-color card, and that's probably what Mike Sigrist was thinking in passing, and he didn't want to commit that early. He wanted to wait and see what was open. But Marcio, having already taken a green card, that's great for him to just jump right in.
Oh, I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah.
That Ulrich of the Crawlin' Horde is a fantastic card.
Now, there is one thing to be cautious about, and that, again, that first pack had an abundance of red cards in it. So he could end up fighting with Reed, who is to his left, over red, and he needs to think about that going into pack 2.
Let's see what he finds here. All right, now this pack did not look great for him. You saw him pull a Terrarian to the top. The best card in the pack is a Drag Under. Ugh. Make Mischief is a card that you will sometimes put into your main deck. It's a pretty decent little card, all told, but wow. After those first two premium picks, there's a Spreading Flames at the back too, though, Ian. I wonder, you know, Marcio probably not going to feel super hot about drafting a 7-drop and 2 5s to start off, but he's just going to play it safe here, take a Terrarian, keep things a little lower to the ground. This does open up the ability to maybe play green with another color and then splash for Ulrich.
That's a great point.
There's a Bloodbriar. That was kind of the saving grace for this pack, because especially after taking a Terrarian, a Bloodbriar is a nice pickup for Marcio here, and I think it's likely what he's going to just take out of the pack to solidify him further into green.
Yeah, it's a very solid card. It's not at its best in red and green, but it does combine well with Terrarian. And say if he goes down the path of splashing the red for Ulrich, and say he's base green-blue or something, that's a deck where Bloodbriar is fantastic pickup.
So that Terrarian was a little bit of a speed bump for him, but it looks like he's back on track here. And there you go, Wildenpack Outcast. Now, I'm a big fan of Wildenpack Outcast. I think it's excellent. It looks like Marcio, though, is trying to lean away from it. And if he does lean away from it and take those backwoods survivalists that he has pulled to the front, it's because he's worried about taking so many expensive spells in the early pack here.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there, Marshall. Also, he's more confident in this case that he's going to be green than that he's going to be red. And again, keeping the option open just to splash the red.
Yeah. I like the Wildenpack Outcast better, but the curve considerations and the color considerations do lean him down. Now, here he could take a Primal Druid. Currently doesn't look like it's going to be fantastic in the deck, though it is mostly considered a playable. And if he does end up, say, blue-green with an Ulrich, that Primal Druid plus a Terrarian will really set him up well.
Yeah, this is a really interesting pick. I mean, Primal Druid is, of course, at its best in a deck with a lot of Emerge, and the best Emerge cards are in blue, or at least you'd want to be green and blue to have access to them. So, yeah, I wonder if we'll see him pivot a little bit, and yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, I think you and I had the same idea that he did there. He snaps up an Exultant Cultist, which is another card that goes well in an Emerge strategy. Now, there's one big ingredient missing here for Marcio. He has no Emerge creatures. Yeah, he has only seen one, a Mockery of Nature, which is really not one of the better ones, and he passed it. So he is going to have to get a little bit fortunate in the second pack if that's going to be the way it goes. And now he could pick up a second Primal Druid or a Laboratory Brute, but this pick's a little awkward for him because what ends up happening is if Primal Druid is good in your deck, in the matchup, then having a second one's fine. But if it's not, the first one's already bad enough, and the second one becomes really a liability. This is the pack that he opened here, and it looks like he wheeled the Woodland Patrol.
Yeah, he's in a tricky spot here. He's obviously past the point in pack one where he could see a quality Emerge creature, and he has a lot of support for Emerge, but no actual payoffs for it. So he's really going to be looking to pack two there. I think if he doesn't see any strong Emerge payoffs, creatures with Emerge at the beginning of pack two, he's going to have to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah. There's a Swift Spinner in the pack, which I think what I would take here. Look, he's still trying to cut green. And what we say by cut green means, of course, that he's trying to take as many green cards as he can to disincentivize the people on his left from being in green so that on this next pack he gets a bunch of good green cards. He does wield the Mockery of Nature here, which is not a particularly exciting Emerge creature, though it can come in out of the sideboard, or in a pinch you can main deck it if you have to.
Yeah, if he's starting Primal Druids anyway, I mean, this would be a fine card to main deck. It's just a big creature. It's not super efficient or anything, and you're probably not going to get value off of destroying an artifact or enchantment in game one against most decks, but it's there to keep in mind.
All right, so there's something interesting here, Ian, as well. I missaw one of the picks. The Terrarian was actually the Drag Under that I remember I said this is the best card in the pack. He decided just to take the best card out of that pack, which also explains going into blue here a little bit later. But it has not fully solidified for him. If you look at his picks, right, he's got a Drag Under as his main, his best blue card. He also has an Exultant Cultist in there as well. But I got to say, the Ulrich or the Crawling Horde, if he's going to be able to main deck that, it's probably better. Than the two
it's
blue
tricky
cards.
because there's kind of a lot of things interconnected right now. Like he has the Primal Druids, but in order to get a lot of value out of those, he's going to want to see Emerge creatures, or else he's going to need help from his opponents to have the Primal Druids die. And if he wants to splash the Ulrich, then he needs the Primal Druids to die. So that he kind of, in order to kind of glue it all together, I think he's really hoping to get what he needs for a base green-blue Emerge deck and then be able to splash the red.
All right, so we're moving into the second pack, and what that means is, looks like we're just fixing something real quick here with the draft. It'll be just a second here, but we're setting up now for the second Eldritch Moon booster pack. After this, we'll move into Shadows over Innistrad, and that will conclude the draft portion today. Again, we're going to watch Marcio all the way through live, and then we're recording Seth Manfield. So if you stick with us after we watch Marcio and you want to see what Seth did, he's at the same table. He's sitting opposite. You can see him actually right there. His back is to us, and you can see what cards made it over to Seth as well.
So yeah, it looks like there was just a problem where there was the wrong number of cards in Marcio's pack. The judges are fixing that right now. Of course, this is something that can happen because the packs are sleeved ahead of time for the draft to ensure that it's an equal playing field with respect to double face cards, and probably just in transporting the packs or sleeving them, cards got mixed up a little bit. So we're getting that extra fix to the booster pack here. In the meantime, Marcio is probably thinking about, what do I want to open in this pack? And I think, the very best thing would be just a strong emerge creature, something like a Lashweed Lurker, or even, if you're really hopeful, a Decimator of the Provinces would be like the absolute best card you could open. Actually, small correction there. It was Mike Sigrist's pack, his neighbor that had 13 cards. So
yeah, this is something that happens, at this high level occasionally. It's a rarity, but in order to make sure that everything is fair and on the up and up, they actually have the players count them out.
The first step of a high level booster draft is count the cards in your pack. Make sure we're starting off the draft in a correct situation, so that we don't find out later after players have drafted their cards that something was amiss.
Yeah, with this much money, first place is $70,000 on this tournament.
That's right. We're giving away $250,000 here this weekend.
Yeah, crowning ourselves a world champion. It's going to take a little while. We're working our way up the chain here, but you don't want to have a clerical error affect something as important as becoming the world champion. Okay, it looks like we are underway in Pack 2. Let's see what Marcio comes up with here. Well, he found a Grizzled Angler. That was the card that stood out to me out of the pack, though. It looks like he's going to go back over it again. He's pulled in an Abundant Maw and a Grapple with the Pass to the front here.
Now, I also see an Alchemist's Greeting, which if he's really sure he's going to be splashing red, that's one of the better red commons for sure.
It feels like he wants to be blue-green, doesn't it?
It does. He's definitely been drafting as though that is his plan. Now, how strong do you think Grizzled Angler is?
I think it's excellent, though. The problem is that he really does need the main ingredient is missing once again, which is Emerge creatures.
Right. It's yet another card that would want him to have more colorless creatures in his deck, which again are the Eldrazi, most of which have Emerge.
Yeah. I've been very impressed by Grizzled Angler, though, because it's 2/3 for 3, and on a base level, that's acceptable. And sometimes it becomes a card that just takes over the game. Oh, there's an Ingenious Scob now. That's a nice pickup here. He also finds a Mind's Dilation, but don't get too enthralled with that one.
Yeah, that's more of an exciting card than an efficient one that you'd actually want to pick here in the World Championship. Yeah. But Ingenious Scob...
that was a really good way to put that. I was going to say something else, but...
Ingenious Scob is one of the best blue commons, for sure, so he's got to be excited to pick that up. And it's a card that's just great in any situation, and that's what his deck is really lacking right now. He has all these situational cards that want to work together, and so picking up something that's just rock solid that he's definitely going to add to his deck, he's got to feel good about that.
Yeah, Ingenious Scob, to me, I think it's the best blue common. The other contender is Drag Under, which Marcio has a copy of as well. But, man, I love Ingenious Scob. Ooh, an Ulvenwald Captive. That's a nice one. Also, one thing that I think we should note here is that as Marcio goes through his draft, remember, he doesn't get to look at the cards in front of him. This is a high-level timed booster draft where you can't, you can only look at the cards in front of you when you're allowed to, which is in between packs. And so he has to track his mana curve as he goes, and he does not have a lot of 2-mana spells right now, so an Ulvenwald Captive is a big pickup.
Right. When you say you can't look at the cards in front of him, you mean the cards he's already selected for his deck, right?
Exactly.
You can only do that in between the packs.
Right, so he just has to remember all of the cards that he's already drafted. And that can, that's something that he's going to be doing as we move our way through the packs. Wow, another Ulvenwald Captive.
Wow, fantastic card. Just a great card. One of the better green commons, goes well in any deck, but I think goes especially well in his deck because remember, he started off the draft with some fairly high mana cost cards.
Some 5s.
Yeah, and so getting both a 2-drop that'll let him do something with mana early on, as well as one that ramps him into those larger creatures. Is just a great pickup for him.
I think that's the best green common. I said that at the GP
so
before the Pro Tour, and some people were like, what? Have you seen Prey Upon? And I was like, yeah, I have. I really think this is better, and I've stuck with that. There's another Bloodbriar. Ooh, here's a nice one. A Geist of the Archives sitting back there as well. How committed are you to this blue-green thing, Marcio? It's felt like you're committed, right? I mean, it feels like he's cemented himself in blue-green, though we see another Wildenpack Outcast up there as well, which got a lot of respect for that card.
It's true. I like the Geist here a lot.
Mhm.
I think, as you said, he's committed to blue-green, but the time has passed for him to really be an Emerge deck. He has the
Feels like that ship has sailed, doesn't
the
it?
one Emerge creature he picked up late in pack 1, but he doesn't
the
really have
Mockery.
any of the really high-quality ones, and he's not going to see anymore. This is the last pack of Eldritch Moon,
Yeah,
and there are no Emerge creatures in Shadows.
That's right. So he picked up a Nabelgast Herald here, another solid pickup. I think this pack has actually gone quite well for Marcio.
It has. That's a really late Nebelgast Herald.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic card.
It's a very good card.
See that this late means he's in a good position to be drafting blue in his seat.
Agreed. Yeah, the one thing that he would have really liked to see to make those Primal Druids better are some Emerge creatures, but I don't think he's getting them. That is part of the risk, is that there's a Mausoleum Wanderer. I have not found that card very good in Limited.
Yeah, it's low impact for having to spend a card on this object, which is ultimately just a 1/1 flyer most of the time.
Yeah,
It's
I wouldn't be
okay,
surprised
but-
if it didn't make the cut for
Yeah.
Marcio. It's not bad though. I mean, you could do worse.
Yeah, it's not a terrible card, but
I don't think that Marcio is going to be short on playable. Oh wow, there's a Wretched Griff.
okay. So I take it back, Marshall.
Business.
We talked about the ship having sailed and that he wouldn't see any quality Emerge creatures, but like, how was that an 8th pick, 7th pick, 8th pick?
Yeah, we're almost to the wheel here. That might have been the last chance he had to pick up an Emerge
That's
creature of this
incredible.
quality.
So that
Holy
just
smokes.
lights up the Primal Druids in his deck, right? Like those were kind of teetering on the edge of being sideboard cards.
Yeah,
and,
that was the literal last chance he had to get an Emerge creature of any consequence, and he nailed
That's
it.
pretty incredible.
It almost feels like he's in a situation. Enough playables right now, right? He's in one of those things where he can go into the next pack and
Let them review or not?
I think he's in a really good spot. Really helped him out a lot. Cards that may have been borderline. As well as those song
I know, they're just verifying.
Check, check.
Can you hear me here, Greg? Am I live?
All right, sounds like we're back on. All right, apologies, but it does sound like we're back on, Ian. All right, so we're back. So let's get back down to it. We had an audio issue there. We do apologize for the inconvenience there, but we've got more action for you down. We've held the players, so they are ready to go here in the third pack. So the end of his pack, he ended up picking up a couple of playables for his deck, nothing too exciting, and then kind of a bunch of off-color stuff. But it looks like he's opened up a silver for Partisan here. Oh, wow. Look at this. A double rare, both in green pack now, Ian. Sage of the Forgotten Ways, of Ancient Lore, excuse me, not Forgotten Ways quite yet. Goodness sakes. It's really good to pick up both of those.
He's got his pick of the litter here.
It is an embarrassment of riches for Marcio Carvalho here.
And I like the Sage pick a lot better here. I think the Partisan really requires a lot more build around, something that his deck is not really set up to do right now. But the Sage is just a solid card that can go in any deck, doesn't really ask a lot of you, and it's quite powerful.
All right, let's see what he gets now. Just the Wind is the card he's pulled up, but there's also a Quilled Wolf, again, a good curve pick. And then you also see him taking a little peek at Lightning Axe as well.
Yeah, Lightning Axe, incredibly powerful
also a
card.
Burn from Within in there? It's at a weird angle, but I think that might be what he's got pulled to the front as well. Remember, yeah, that is a Burn from Within. So it's interesting because he really does have to make the choice now. Am I going to try to splash Uruk of the Callen Horde and now a Burn from Within? And he says, absolutely, these are worth it.
I think the answer was already yes, and he's probably just thinking about how many red cards do I want to have in my deck in terms of deck consistency, right? Because sometimes those cards could linger in your hand for a while where you're looking for your mana, but Burn from Within is a card that is powerful in the long game, even if it takes you a while to find the red mana to turn it on.
That's right.
This is for you.
Ooh, Quilled Wolf, second to last. That was exactly what he wanted to see. Again, a good curve-filling card. And also you'll note, and this is something that I really appreciate about the way that Marcio's drafted this deck, is that he's given himself a lot of mana sinks, we call them in the late game. Places to spend mana that don't require you to draw them, off the top of your deck. If you've got this Quilled Wolf sitting on the battlefield and you draw a few too many lands, well, all of a sudden when you get to 6, this thing becomes a potential 6/6 and can really be a game changer. He's also got some werewolves that can help do that. And, with the Ulvenwald Captives, those are cards that give you a lot of mana to play with. Jace's Scrutiny or Confront the Unknown. Oh, Jesus, Soul Swallower. Man.
Wow.
How open is green at this table? So now, this is really interesting, Ian. What he's doing is, Marcio is racking his brain for how many different card types he's drafted. Can I get to Delirium? Now,
That's one of the really challenging things about this format is you can end up in a spot where you weren't planning on being Delirium, you weren't drafting that way the entire time, and then you hit back 3 and you see a big, powerful reward like this. Now you have to think back throughout the draft and be like, what do I have so far? Do I have enough different types to turn on Delirium? Can I get them in my graveyard?
Oh, and look at this choice as well. Wow, I got to say, things have really come together for Marcio here. Now he gets to choose between Stitched Mangler, and you can see he's pulled that up, or Reckless Scholar.
Wow, blue is really open.
Yeah.
In this
Blue and green?
Yeah.
It must be
both.
nice. He looks like he's drafted very well here. I think I would probably go for the Reckless Scholar for the higher power level in general.
I definitely would, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just the stronger of the two cards. And
I
it fits
agree.
really well in his deck, too.
Yeah, and he does. He's going to take the Reckless Scholar. I think that's a pretty easy pick for Marcio at this point, though. He wouldn't mind having that Mangler in his pile either. And, of course, another rare. He got a welcome to the fold here, too.
What is going on? This
is
draft is
insane.
crazy.
Now, it's interesting, though, because he's pulled Sleep Paralysis to the front, which is a much more clean way to just get rid of an opposing creature, and he does not have a clear shot. He doesn't have a prey upon. He may be forced to take it. I think what Marcio feels is that Welcome to the Fold, if you don't have a way to discard it, which he really doesn't, is not as strong as Sleep Paralysis in the sense that he needs to be able to deal with opposing bombs.
It's true. He does have the Reckless Scholar, but only having one way is really not enough to be consistent. And I agree, his deck is looking so strong and so removal light that going with this consistent choice is great there.
That is one of the issues that you face if you draft this particular color pair, is that you have the ability to get creatures out of the way temporarily, but you do need to focus on finding some of those fight cards like your Prey Upons, your Clear Shots for green, as they're some of the only ways that you can actually do it, and he is a little short on those. Autumnal Gloom, not really what he wants to see here. And I guess he'll settle for a Drew Now Corpse Trawler, but it's not a particularly strong card in his deck.
Yeah, there's also a Catalog in that pack, which was an option, but again, he doesn't really have much synergy with it.
Yeah. That's the kind of pick where you don't, like, you honestly are you kidding me? Silver for Partisan came back? So is he the only green drafter at this table somehow?
He might be. I mean, Silver for Partisan is a card that
he didn't take it.
Yeah, it has high upside on it, but you do need to build around it. I mean, he has one Confront the Unknown to target it, and it's true, it gives you a wolf if the opponent targets it also, but ultimately it's a 3-mana 2/2 if you don't have a lot of synergy with it.
With trample?
Sure. I'll give you that, Marshall. But it's not really something that kind of knocks my socks off as far as
my socks, which I'm wearing only socks right now, just fell off when I saw that, and then he didn't even take it. I like that card a lot. Remember, it's also your other wolves. Like, if one of his, captives gets targeted or whatever, a werewolf or a wolf,
it can serve to protect your other ones.
Yeah.
Noting notable catches a Kessig Dire Swine there, which is a card which is not like amazing but solid, can fill out your curve if you need a big creature, and could also be a sideboard card too if you know the game is going to go longer. He does have those 2 captives also to power it out. Clip Wings, a nice sideboard card. But overall, this shaped up really well for Marcio.
What a beautiful
here.
draft for Marcio. What an insanely lovely draft for him. Now, to critique the final deck, what we imagine it'll look like, could use another Emerge creature. One more would have been great. And could have used a little bit more on the fight cards or some type of way to interact with the opponent.
Removal spells are his big weakness here.
Yeah, but that being said, his power level on this deck is fantastic. All those rares in there. I mean, he passed 2 rares. He's like, nah, don't need Welcome to the Fold, don't need Silver for Partisan. And I got to say, I think things came together very well for Marcio. And, as our draft master seat, I can see why. Also, I don't think that he's going to have, obviously it's hard to predict exactly, but this is what you would call a 3-0 deck. I think, if you're coming out of the draft, you're thinking to yourself, what would I expect on average for this deck? And, I think this is one of those decks that hits the high enough power quality that you think, I could 3-0 with this.
Yeah, it might be between a 2-1 and a 3-0 on average, which is a great spot to be. That's about as good as you can hope for in a draft.
Yeah, especially at a table full of tough drafters, right? We are talking about a situation where Marcio's sitting down across from these amazing, some of the best players in the game, period. And what you'll notice is in the booster drafts, they get tougher. You don't get the free cards late, but Marcio put himself in a great position. All right, that's going to do it for that first draft, but we've got more draft action for you today. Let's send it up to Rich Hagan on the top deck.
Marshall Sutcliffe, you are a liar. You just said that you were wearing only socks. I'm very disappointed in you, Marshall. Anyway, welcome back to the top deck here at the Paramount Theatre here in downtown Seattle. The players have drafted. That means the players are about to head down and build their final limited decks of this World Championship weekend. What are we going to do for 25 minutes while that happens? I thought we'd just stand here and wait. Better idea. Why don't we watch every pick of Seth Manfield as it happened? The reigning world champion over in the Deck Tech studio is going to give us every pick in the company of Matej Zatlkai. So that's coming your way. The table, remember, had the 2 6-1s, Brian Braun-Duin and Marcio Carvalho, who you've just seen with that, maybe it's 2-1, maybe it's a 3-0 deck. Guys seem to like it very much. Mike Sigrist, Seth Manfield, Lucas Blahon, all at 5 and 2, and then JC Tao, Thiago Saporito, and Reed Duke. are the 4 and 3s at that top table. So I think we're just about ready to go over at the far side. So why don't we send it across town here at the Paramount. Here comes Brian David Marshall and Matej Zatlkaj with every pick for Seth Manfield.